Have you ever just wished your body came with a proper owner's manual? You know that feeling when you're trying to figure out what that weird rumble is or why? Like that specific food just leaves you feeling off. Yeah, I think we've all been there. We want a clearer guide to what's happening inside, especially with systems that feel, well, kind of mysterious. So today we're doing a deep dive. We're looking into one of the most vital but honestly often misunderstood parts of our health, the gastrointestinal system, the GI system. Our mission for this deep dive, it's not just about telling you what to do, it's about giving you a really practical step-by-step way to assess your own gut health. We want to help you move past the guesswork, establish a clear personal baseline, give you the tools to basically become the expert on your own body. And guiding us through this is Dr. David Quartell using insights from his fantastic book, The Body User Manual. What makes Dr. Quartell's perspective so valuable is his background. I mean, over 25 years in practice, something like 150,000 patient visits, plus his deep expertise in lifestyle medicine and, importantly, root cause health. So these aren't just theories, they're practical strategies, grounded in decades of actual patient care, distilled into this guide.
Absolutely. And what's really key is that root cause philosophy. It underpins everything he talks about. He's not just looking at symptoms, right? He's digging deeper, trying to understand why your body is reacting like it is. That's the core of the user manual idea. It's not just instructions. It's like a diagnostic guide for yourself. He really equips you to be like a detective for your own health, which is something so many people wish they'd figured out years ago.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Dr. Quartell really highlights how, well, challenging assessing gut health can actually be. He shares the story about his first nutrition professor comparing it to Freudian psychotherapy discussing your parents. Quite a comparison.
It is. And what's fascinating, he says that even with all his experience, he found that comparison actually underestimated the difficulty.
Really? Underestimated. So what makes talking about our gut, digestion and all that, even trickier than, say, deep family stuff?
Well, it's a great question. I think Dr. Quartell found that while therapy deals with emotional vulnerability, which is huge, gut health discussions add this layer of physical and social discomfort. It's often just awkward. People can be really embarrassed to talk about bowel movements or gas or bloating. Even with doctors or people they're close to, there's this deep-seated reluctance, So crucial information just gets glossed over or not shared at all. It's a huge barrier.
That makes sense. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive. We want to reassure you, listening, that Dr. Quartell's approach, the one we're kind of breaking down today, it really aims to simplify things, make the assessment straightforward, and importantly, non-judgmental. It turns those awkward topics into just objective data points, valuable points for your personal user manual. So we're going to break it down. 4 clear steps, starting with the most fundamental thing, what you're actually putting into your system, your food. So step 1 in Dr. Quartell's manual is really getting clear on the difference between what he calls whole foods and make-believe foods. Now, whole foods might sound simple enough, especially for our listeners, but where Dr. Quartell is really sharp is helping us spot those subtle make-believe things that sometimes, look healthy but aren't. It's not just about avoiding the obvious junk food. It's about seeing how even seemingly innocent stuff has been changed a lot from its natural form.
Exactly. He defines whole foods super clearly. Things in their natural, recognizable state, like they were grown, caught, harvested. Think an apple, right? Or a piece of fish. Raw nuts. Simple. But the deeper point, beyond just recognizing the form, is understanding the metabolic load these processed foods put on your system. Your body has to work way harder to deal with altered ingredients, synthetic stuff, in those make-believe foods. That diverts energy from important things like healing, detoxing, other bodily functions. It's not about good or bad food morally. It's about efficiency, reducing stress on your system.
Okay, so whole foods are the premium fuel,
Yeah.
unadulterated. Then make-believe foods are the processed or even ultra-processed things, changed significantly from how they started. Dr. Quartell gives those great examples. Potato versus potato chip, grapes versus grape jelly, chicken breast versus a chicken nugget. It makes it very clear.
Very vivid.
But I can almost hear people thinking, okay, but what about the gray areas, like maybe artisanal sourdough bread or homemade pasta sauce, yogurt? How does he help us navigate those trickier ones?
Yeah, that's where his practical rule of thumb comes in, and it's brilliant. If you can make it in your kitchen from scratch, it's closer to a whole food. It's not about being perfect, it's about the degree of processing. So, okay, maybe you don't mill your own flour for sourdough, but if you could theoretically combine basic ingredients to make something similar, it's closer to whole than, say, some super-engineered cereal with an ingredient list that's a mile long. He really emphasizes looking at that ingredient list. If you can't pronounce stuff or wouldn't find it in a normal kitchen, that's usually a red flag.
That kitchen scratch rule is great. It feels empowering, puts some control back in your hands. And he also mentions, for those moments in the grocery store aisle, using a tool like the Bobby-approved app. You can scan barcodes, get some guidance.
Yeah, practical tools help.
But the main takeaway here for you listening isn't about strict tracking or feeling judged. It's about building awareness. Just starting to notice what you eat and roughly how much. Establishing that baseline without pressure. It's not a test, it's exploration.
Right.
So once we start identifying the type of fuel, whole ingredients, or more refined stuff, the next step in the manual is understanding the building blocks, the macros. Step 2, grasping macros. Fat, carbs, protein, fiber. The basics. But Dr. Quartell doesn't ask us to track everything for this first assessment, does he? What's the specific focus here and why those particular ones?
No, not everything. For this initial look, his focus is very targeted. Daily protein and fiber intake. He zeroes in on these two because they are, well, foundational pillars for good GI function. Protein is absolutely critical for repairing the gut lining. Think of it as the bricks for the intestinal cells, which are always turning over, regenerating. Plus, it's needed to make digestive enzymes, crucial for breaking down food properly. And then fiber. Oh, fiber. So many of his patients are just shocked when they realize how little they're actually getting. And that lack directly links to things like sluggish digestion, an imbalanced microbiome. Fiber is the main food source for your healthy gut bacteria. Those billions of little workers doing everything from nutrient absorption to immune stuff, if they don't get enough fiber, they basically starve. You get dysbiosis and a whole cascade of GI issues. So yeah, protein and fiber aren't just nice to have, they're non-negotiable for gut repair and function.
That makes perfect sense, connecting the function right back to the nutrient. And you mentioned tools. There are apps out there, right? Like MyFitnessPal, MyPlate. They can help you track these specific things pretty easily.
Definitely. They give you a surprisingly clear snapshot without too much hassle.
But what's the deeper insight we get from this initial tracking, beyond just, hitting certain numbers?
Well, connecting it back to Dr. Quartell's root cause thinking, it's about spotting potential deficiencies that are actively, maybe unknowingly, undermining your gut health. At this stage, we're not even worried about where the protein or fiber comes from, plant, animal, whatever. Just, is it there and how much? Getting that baseline data, understanding your actual intake is incredibly valuable for setting real personalized goals later on. It's like asking, do you even have the basic raw materials for healthy gut present in decent amounts?
Okay.
Because if you don't have enough protein to rebuild or enough fiber to feed the good guys, you're essentially trying to build a house without bricks or power. It won't work well.
Okay, now step 3. This is where it gets really interesting, maybe the most personal part of becoming your own body's expert. Your GI system is constantly talking to you, sending signals. Through all sorts of signs and symptoms, some subtle, some not so subtle, learning to decode these signals is vital. Your body's telling you its story, often way before any disease actually shows up. So what are some of these key signs Dr. Quartell tells us to watch for? He mentions visible stomach distension, that food baby thing many of us just brush off. But it can be significant. Also, patterns of diarrhea or constipation, not just if it happens, but the frequency, the consistency. And then passing gas, mouth or the other end. Noting any smells, which can actually tell you about your gut bacteria balance.
Yeah, those are key observations.
And interestingly, he doesn't just stop inside the gut. He includes sores or infections anywhere along the GI tract, mouth to anus. Even things like acne on the face or buttocks, emphasizing that the skin often reflects gut health.
Absolutely. And beyond those visible signs, there are the subjective symptoms, just as critical. Those internal feelings, actual pain or discomfort in the stomach or intestines, feeling nauseous often. Unusual cravings, those can pop up, signaling imbalances or deficiencies, that general bloating feeling, or just feeling wiped out or uncomfortable after eating. These aren't just annoying things. They're like alarms from your internal system. They need attention.
And this is where his detail-oriented root cause approach really comes through. He stresses documenting the frequency, duration, quality, intensity, and timing, FDQIT, for every single sign or symptom. This turns vague feelings into a powerful diagnostic tool. It's like creating a forensic report.
Exactly.
So instead of just saying, I feel bloated, you record, when did it start? Timing, how long did it last? Duration, what did it feel like? Tight, gassy, sharp, quality. How bad was it? Scale of 1 to 10. Intensity. And how often does this happen? Frequency. It really moves you from just acknowledging something to being a detective, gathering clues.
And this brings up a key question for you listening. Why bother with all this meticulous detail? It's because this specific objective information creates your personal benchmark, your diagnostic map. It lets you objectively see if things are getting better or worse when you make changes, diet, lifestyle, whatever. It gives you direct, measurable feedback. Is this working? Is that not working? It turns vague feelings into concrete data. Without that detailed record, you're mostly guessing. With it, you're collecting the clues to figure out the why, leading to much more effective solutions than just chasing surface symptoms. You're truly understanding the messages.
All right, step 4. Let's go there. Let's talk about poop. I know it can feel awkward, but it gives incredibly valuable direct insights into what's happening inside. We have to talk about looking at our poop.
We do. It's essential data.
Dr. Quartell calls it the ultimate internal selfie, which I love, because your bowel movements, they're like a daily unfiltered report card on your internal health. Shows digestive efficiency, gut state. So he details 7 specific things to look at. First, frequency. How often are you going? Not just daily, but what's a healthy pattern for you? Second, regularity. Is it consistent or all over the place? Irregularity can signal bigger issues. Third, ease. Is it easy to pass, or are you straining? Straining is a definite red flag. Fourth, emptying. Do you feel completely empty afterwards or like there's still something left? That feeling of incompleteness tells you something. Fifth, volume. What's the size or quantity? Too little, too much, both can be informative clues.
And sixth, the wiping experience. He uses those wonderfully candid descriptions. Are you a one-wipe wonder, or does it feel like there's never enough toilet paper in the world?
Surprisingly practical. It really gauges how clean and efficient your elimination is. If it's messy, it often points to issues with digesting fats or maybe bacterial balance. It's very relatable, if a bit graphic. And finally, number 7, appearance. This is where the famous Bristol Stool Chart comes into play. It gives you a visual guide, types 1 through 7, from severe constipation to severe diarrhea. Dr. Quartell points out that type 3 or 4 thinks smooth sausage or snake shape, maybe with some cracks or totally smooth, that's generally considered the ideal for healthy digestion. The chart just gives you a clear, objective reference. It kind of normalizes looking, takes away some of the weirdness.
Totally. I always tell patients, if you're not looking, you're missing your body's daily memo. Seriously. Embracing this assessment, even if it feels a bit weird at first, gives you profound, immediate clues about your internal world. It's a direct window into digestion, hydration, fiber intake, microbiome balance, even nutrient absorption. It's honestly one of the simplest yet most powerful self-checks you have in your body's user manual.
Okay, so putting it all together, these 4 steps. Understanding your food, whole versus make-believe, tracking those key macros, protein and fiber, observing your GI signals using that FTQIT framework, and then, yes, assessing your bowel movements diligently. Together, they form this really powerful practical strategy. It's not just random data collection. It's compiling a highly personalized user manual for your specific body.
Absolutely. And as Dr. Quartell really hammers home in the Body User Manual, the GI system isn't just one system among many. It truly is the cornerstone of your overall health. It influences everything: your immune function, your mood, your energy levels, you name it. So establishing this comprehensive baseline using these steps, it's not just a step. He really argues it's the first and most important step towards truly getting control, improving your GI system, and as a result, profoundly boosting your entire well-being. It shifts you from being reactive to proactive, armed with real personal insight.
That's such a great summary. We just walked you through 4 practical, non-judgmental, and honestly, incredibly insightful steps. Steps that can help you understand and start proactively improving your own gut health. This deep dive has hopefully given you a foundational roadmap, insights that, frankly, many people wish they'd had much earlier in life. Think of it like finally getting the operating instructions for your most complex, most vital piece of machinery yourself. We really encourage you, if this resonated, to continue your journey. Go deeper with the Body User Manual by Dr. David Quartell. That's available on Amazon. And if you want a more personalized approach applying these principles with expert guidance, you can reach out to Dr. Quartell's practice. That's Quartell Chiropractic in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. They do in-person and virtual consultations.
And just to leave you with a thought, consider this. What's one small, non-judgmental observation you can make today? Maybe about your next meal, was it mostly whole or make-believe? Or maybe just noticing the ease of your next bowel movement. What tiny observation can you make that starts to unlock a deeper understanding of your own internal landscape and maybe sets the stage for your next step towards better health? The whole journey starts with just one conscious observation.